Update: my 32M ex-wife 33F divorced me after a personality change. I found out I have a brain tumor. How do I move forward? So first off, thanks everybody for the comments and advice. I didn't expect my post to get as much attention as it did, but it was really helpful to get some perspective. Not to mention lots of support, including some very thoughtful messages. It got reposted on other places. I didn't even realize there was an entire ecosystem of TikToks devoted to rehashing Reddit posts. I guess I'm old lol, including some news sites, and a few journalists and podcasters reach out to me. I'm touched that my stories seem to resonate with some people, but I'm a pretty private person and I'm working through a lot right now, so apologies if I have responded to your message. Long story short, I've decided not to contact my ex or her brother for the time being. I know some people were probably rooting for a happier or at least more interesting ending, but this is how I'm handling things for now. I think the majority of the comments on my last post encouraged me to reach out just to inform my ex of the situation and maybe give her some closure. Some suggested making a post on social media so it would get back to her, or delivering a message through a mutual friend. For a while, something along these lines is what I wanted to do. Now for the social media thing, I don't actually have any social media other than an Instagram account for my pup Archie, with like 10 followers, and a Facebook account. Using a fake name with 0 friends, I use it for Marketplace. But that's kind of besides the point. I think more importantly, not reaching out right now just feels like the right move. I guess the true question is, what would be the best way to handle this for my ex? How does this affect her? And honestly, the more I think about it, the more it seems like reaching out is the selfish move. She's always been a strong, resilient person, so I have no doubt she's managed to build a good life and move on. And I'd just be potentially interfering with that, stirring up old hurts and wounds and maybe adding a lot of confusion and other complicated emotions. And then for the selfish perspective, I don't think it would be good for me either. I admit, a part of me fantasizes about a situation where we got back together, all was forgiven, and we lived happily ever after. But I think that's exactly the problem. I realized there was no way I was going to be able to temper my expectations. So right now, with everything going on, it probably would be a bad thing to add into the mix. I'll always love my ex-wife. We grew up together. I loved all of her quirks and her silliness and her strength, the way she always stood up for what she believed in. The fact that we always had so much fun together. Whether we were playing a board game, she learned quick and kicked my ass, except for Race for the Galaxy, or buying a house or going on a bike ride somewhere, or overanalyzing a movie or TV show we'd watch together. She's brilliant and hilarious and gorgeous, and a total weirdo. Very early in our relationship, she asked whether I was a barfer or a shitter when I got sick. I was also the DM for aid in campaign that she played in, and her Goblin Rogue will always be peak tabletop gaming to me. I loved hearing her thoughts about everything. I miss her every day. And who knows, maybe we'll reconnect at some point in the future. I'm not ruling out ever contacting her. And in case it wasn't clear in my last post, I never thought my tumor exonerated me of responsibility for everything I've done. I know I still need to take ownership of my actions and learn and grow from this. So that's why I'm going to focus on getting better. My surgery is getting scheduled, and then I'll just have to take it one step at a time. There's a lot of other stuff going on too. I was applying and interviewing for jobs before all this and actually got 2 offers recently, so I'll be communicating with them about whether we could delay the start date, and worst case, if not, my current job is secure and medical leave won't be a problem. I also bought another property, although the sale is still conditional, so I could walk away if I have to. We'll see how it goes. All this to say, life is pretty hectic right now, but I honestly feel good, and for the first time in several years, I'm looking forward to what comes next, whatever that may be. Anyway, thanks again everybody for reading and commenting, sharing your advice and stories, well wishes, and love. I might post another update down the line, but fair warning, I'm hoping it's just as boring as this one. Told her. I'm just going to leave my ex and her family alone for now and focus on getting better. Also, I shared this in a comment on the last post, but I'll put it here too. Pics of Archie.
How to tell my F29 sister, F35, that my husband, I'm 31, and I don't have the capacity to host her for a month. Throwaway and fake names. My sister Emma chose years ago to live thousands of miles from the family we have in this country, myself, my husband, my father, and our other sister Grace. Emma occasionally comes to visit, but it's usually on the way to see friends or do some other thing she cares more about: egg, climbing, hiking, holidaying, etc. Otherwise, we go to her when we can. For some current context, things have been tough for my husband and I lately. The family I'm married into, but I'm very close to, has suffered a lot recently, including terminal illness and death. It's been rough. I have been open with my nuclear family about what we've been through. On top of this, DH works very long, physically taxing hours. In his time off, he is with his terminally ill parent, caring for them and spending time together. I also work around 50 hours a week. I do spend a lot of time with DH at his parents', I admit. But I love them dearly, they're the best family-in-law you could ask for. Now, Emma wants to come and stay with us for a month. We do have a positive relationship, but I've been required to look after her a lot of our adult life, and she's not always made the responsible choice. Our door is always open to family, but this is not exactly a good time for us. We are still grieving, and almost pre-grieving for my in-law, I suppose. The two main issues if Emma comes to stay. We would essentially be required to support her financially while she is here. Don't get me wrong, we've helped her out in the past, she's family after all. A month is an awfully long time though. Emma is what's known as high maintenance. If she isn't entertained and made a fuss of the entire time, she will get emotional and will drop not-so-subtle hints that we don't love her enough. Our sister Grace, 24, still lives with my dad, but she works full-time and is never home. Grace and Dad have both said that Emma is welcome to stay with them. Dad is especially wanting to spend time with Emma as she's rarely here for more than 2 or 3 days at a time, sometimes years apart. Emma has said she's not coming unless she can stay with me. I don't want to be the reason she doesn't come, but my husband and I just don't have the capacity to take her on for an extended period of time right now. I feel awful about considering telling her she can't stay with us, at least not all the time she's here, but I don't really know what to do. Even if I was to tell her, what would I say? Have you all got any advice for me? My husband is in love with his student. I have no idea what to do. I've decided to talk to him. I know I've been avoiding this since months, but after reading all the responses, I feel it's time I rip that band-aid out. I'm going over to our house. I'll update on what happens. My husband and I, both 35 met in college. We fell in love and got married 8 years back. I gave birth to our daughter in 2020. My husband is a professor at this med school. He's a doctor himself. My friend Sarah also works in the same college, and she's in the same department as my husband. Few months back, in December, Sarah took me out for lunch and told me that she suspected something's going on between my husband and this med student, 25F. She claimed she'd seen both of them give yearning looks to each other. She said that she's known my husband for so long, and she'd never seen him talk to any other woman like this, that he'd been so aloof around women all these years, but it's just different with this one girl. In that moment, I had laughed at her face. I remember telling her that she's jumping to conclusions based on these supposed yearning looks. That's why I didn't tell you before, she had said. I was confused too. It's not like he goes out of his way to talk to her, but whenever they do talk, it's like watching a slow-burn romance movie. She looks at him like he's Brad Pitt, and he looks at her the way he used to look at you. I remember the exact words because they stung. Internally, I was breaking down. Externally, I just smiled and told her that she's probably overthinking. That night, I casually mentioned this my husband. I was laughing at the absurdity, and I expected him to join in and deny the wild possibility that he's in love with a student, but he didn't. Instead, he looked at me, all teary-eyed, and said, "I'm sorry. I can't get her out of my mind. I've tried, trust me. I should have told you sooner. But I thought I could save our relationship, I really wanted to." I asked him if he cheated on me. He said no. He said he didn't even talk to her, nor did they have any contact outside of college, and that he completely understood how morally depraved it is to try and pursue a relationship with a student. She wrote him a letter about a year back, confessing her love for him, and he had told her that even though he was into her, nothing would come out of it. Apparently that was when the yearning looks had started. I honestly don't remember how I reacted then. I think I just started packing and came to live with my parents along with my daughter. I've been living with my parents since then. Half of me wanted him to come and beg for forgiveness, but he never did. He comes by sometimes to spend time with our daughter, but that's it. He never talks about the elephant in the room, nor do I bring it up. I keep checking that girl's social media. She's insanely beautiful, almost doll-like, and intelligent. I can't help but think that someone like him should be with someone like her. He's always been very good-looking, and I'm more of a plain Jane. She's the Meredith to his Derek. I don't know what to do. What do I even tell people? I don't even know who I am without him. Some part of me still wants him to come back. TLDR husband just admitted that he's in love with this young woman who also his student. She loves him too.